Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal Transfer Show, joining you every single morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you as always for making this a part of your morning routines. It is very much appreciated. Good morning to those joining us live in the chat box. James, good morning to you, to Peony Wing, to Craig, to Carlton, Kaiser, Sweating Merlot, Blackshine, Paul, Stephen, Stevie, Martin, Ben, Matt G, plenty more as well joining us in the chat box. And as Matt G says there, a massive bit of good luck to our Lionesses today. It is World Cup final day. Bring it home, Alessia, please. Please. Would love to see it. I'm going to be watching it. I hope you're going to be watching it too. It's great. I love this. It's fantastic. And with Arsenal not playing until Monday, if you're going to get your football fix, you know, this is certainly bringing it on a Sunday. Followed by some interesting games in the Premier League, of course, this afternoon, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But make sure, if you haven't done so already, to drop a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new around here, with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. Fantastic stuff. As mentioned, the game today, 11 a.m. UK time, England versus Spain in the World Cup final. Alessia Russo expected to start this game after scoring, of course, a decisive goal in the game against Australia in the semi-final. Congratulations to Sweden on finishing third after their third place win yesterday as well. So yeah, all of those things considered, I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I cannot wait to watch the final a little bit later on this morning. If you're watching this a little bit later, maybe you're based in the West and you're waking up much later today, hopefully you know already what's happened. Awful Manchester United losing against Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I was chatting to Lee Judges yesterday about this, and I was saying, like, I don't care about Spurs. Like, Spurs are irrelevant to me. Like, I'm not expecting them to be any kind of challenge this season. I'm not expecting them to even pop up on my radar until Arsenal play them. They're going through transition. They've lost their best player, not just their best player, but they've lost like 50% of their goals, really. And of course, that will spread further throughout the side after losing Kane. But Manchester United were like billed as this team that was supposed to be something of a challenge to Arsenal and Manchester City this season. They were built up by some of their naive, ignorant supporters as title challengers for this campaign, putting them top of the table, put them in second. Even second was ludicrous and humiliating. And people throwing Arsenal into 8th position because it's their modal place. I don't even know the guy's name, so only wants to be relevant, I guess. But in just regards to Man United, how amazingly hilarious they are. And yeah, the statistics speak for themselves. Under Eric Ten Hag, Man United have lost a Premier League away game against every other top 9 team from the 22-23 season. 4-0 against Brentford, 6-3 against Man City, 3-1 against Villa, 3-2 against Arsenal, 7-0 against Liverpool. That's 7-0 against Liverpool. Just one more time, 7-0 against Liverpool, 2-0 against Newcastle, 2-2 against Spurs, 1-0 against Brighton, and then another 2-0 defeat against Spurs. That 2-2 against Spurs was the only victory they could get at just one point, losing 38 on aggregate. Brilliant. So yeah, Eric Ten Hag, look, a lot of people really wanted him to be the new Arsenal manager and to get rid of Arteta. Well, thank goodness, because Arsenal might still be struggling with their away form against not even top 6 sides, top 9 sides, it turns out. Meanwhile, Manchester City squeezed past Newcastle United in a game in which they looked more ordinary than they usually do. I'm trying to find the most respectful way to put this, because they still won the game, of course. But without De Bruyne, without Bernardo Silva, still no John Stones in the squad as well. They look vulnerable, and I'm actually a little bit critical of Newcastle that they weren't a little bit better than they were. I thought that, you know, there's a lot of hype around Newcastle right now. They won against Aston Villa 5-1 on the opening day, and you're right, Jimbo. Phil Foden was by far the standout performer on the day. He really was there, and Callum Wilson, you know, will regret not taking the chance that he had. I didn't captain Erling Haaland. I know Mike Feinberg from the Gooners pod was laughing at everyone because they were hoping that Haaland would score for their fantasy teams. I didn't captain Haaland. You know, I've captained Ollie Watkins, so I'm hoping that he can put a few goals away today for the fantasy side of things. I care about fantasy. I like fantasy. I enjoy fantasy. I know not everyone does, but yeah, I didn't captain Haaland. I've got him in the team because you have to have him in the team, but I didn't captain him. And I like feeling a little bit vindicated this morning. I like feeling a little bit smug. I am a little bit smug. I will not be smug if Watkins blanks, but let's see what happens. I nearly captained me tomorrow, and I'm regretting not doing that. But let's see. In terms of all of the results, if you want the code, by the way, to our fantasy league, it's there on the screen for you in the bottom left-hand corner of our screen now. So Saturday's results in four, as we mentioned, we've done the Man City Spurs games. Wolves losing 4-1 to a really good Brighton side. You know, I'm so glad that we don't have to play Brighton until December. I think it's something like December 16th that we next play Brighton. Things can change by that point. Arsenal can hopefully get into a bit of a rhythm and form by that point. We play them at home. But we don't play them until December. Liverpool winning 3-1 against Bournemouth, but conceding first again. No clean sheet for them. And McAllister getting sent off in what, I'll be very honest, is a red card that has to be overturned. Like, there is no doubt in my mind. I get why some people may think that that's a red, but it's just two players going for the ball at the same time. One gets there a little bit quicker than the other, and naturally kind of that foot goes into the other player. Like, it's not malicious. It's not out of control. It's very, very harsh. Very harsh. The penalty was dubious as well, to be fair, and nearly Salah missed it, and Bournemouth nearly got away with it. But McAllister's red card was the biggest talking point of that game. Again, VAR. VAR is something special, I'll tell you. And Brentford coming away with another big win. Fulham had Tim Ream sent off, which means that he'll be suspended for Fulham's game against us next week, which is obviously a positive thing. Fulham not looking too great in that fixture at all. So, yeah, Arsenal will hope to have a relatively comfortable game, touch wood, against Fulham next week, who don't look great in any way, shape or form. Going to a couple of transfer stories to discuss. There's not loads. It is Sunday. Sundays are usually our quietest of days. Nuno Tavares' move from Nottingham Forest, from Arsenal to Nottingham Forest, is off. Apparently, the deal has collapsed at this stage. Supposedly, Nuno Tavares has a number of other options that he would rather. The price tags that were being talked about, £22 million. I saw some people saying, I saw some people suggesting £30 million. I did see another report yesterday suggesting it'll be somewhere between 15 and 20 million pounds. I don't think anyone really knows how much Nuno Tavares is going to go for. What I do know is it's not going to be 40 million pounds. That's for sure. But I just hope Arsenal make as much money as feasibly possible off a sale of Tavares. Anything above 15 million pounds, and I'm buzzing, to be honest with that. So, yeah, I for one, am hopeful that we get some resolution to this story very, very soon. And hopefully we find ourselves in a position where Tavares is moving on and getting Arsenal a significant amount of money. And lastly, suggestions are, reports came out from Turkey in the last few days suggesting that there have been interest in Thomas Partey. There were figures being talked about, like 12 million euros, which I kind of find crazy. There was further reports, I think Fabrizio touched on this, is that Arsenal actually did reject a number of proposals from Saudi Arabian sides around 30 million pounds. So clearly the valuation of Arsenal for him was way higher. And I think when it comes down to the idea that Thomas Partey would leave the club, it would have to be for a huge amount of money, surely. And so, yeah, we're not expecting Thomas Partey to leave unless something ridiculous happens between now in the next couple of weeks or so. But yeah, the Partey Turkey line was a real strange one, and kind of, you know, if whoever that is, I don't know whoever is coming up with that story, but my goodness me. Talking about making something up. But there you go. That is all of today's story. So we're going to move to part 2 and your questions right after this. Alrighty then. Let's go into the chat box. I'm not going to be doing an extra long show this morning because I'm off to play golf. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm going off to play golf, and I've got to get it done before. It's only a 9, so I've got to get it done before the World Cup final. So got to get that in and get ready to watch. Hopefully the women absolutely smash Spain a little bit later on today. Right, let's go into the chat box and get some of your thoughts. Stephen says, great to see after the Wolves incident, but United should have had a Stonewall penalty as well. Yes, they should have done. However, not even however, I saw somebody tweet, I don't think it might have been Statman Dave, fantastic account if you don't follow, but I can't say I agree with his tweet yesterday. Let me find it. Where was it? It was a tweet during the Manchester United game. It was something along the lines of, I guess that kind of cancels out. Here it is, 1,000% penalty. Guess that cancels out last week. Try telling that to a Wolves fan. Of course it doesn't cancel out last week's. Wolves should have had a penalty, which could have given them an extra point in their hopes of probably staying up this season. So no, it doesn't cancel out, the other one, because it's no way beneficial to Wolves in any way. So I don't agree, the idea that it was leveling the playing field somewhat, but it was an absolute blatant penalty. And it borders on ridiculous stupidity at this point, like how bad the officiating, the VAR is in this country, that every single week, it's like, you get those like suggestion boxes. For those who've watched Ted Lasso, you know what I'm talking about. But you get like those suggestion boxes. You put little suggestions in your company about what you'd like to see change. It's like PGMOL should have like a dedicated apology box at every single stadium that they can just kind of slip in a little, oh, sorry, kind of, we got it wrong again. Sorry, guys. That's ridiculous. Like how bad they are at these decision making. It is silly. So for those of you that still kind of shouting and screaming about corruption allegedly and all this stuff, they're getting them wrong for Man United as well. It's just kind of crazy at this point. Maggie says, Haaland hasn't scored in one game. Is he rubbish and overrated? Yes. Is that not the obvious answer? William Saliba says, TC, thoughts on playing Raya and Ramsdale as inverted keepers? It'll be Arteta's out-pepping the pep. Yeah, I mean, if that can somehow be a thing, I'd love to see it. Inverted goalkeepers, play 2 goalkeepers, but one can't use their hands, obviously. So you play them as like an extra centre-back, but they just stand in the goal and they can just like salmon around like the box, trying to head things away. I think that's the way forwards for goalkeeping, is it not? John says, do we need to sell Balogun to Fulham for 45? I mean, need to. We need to sell him. But if it's going to be to Fulham or not, we don't know. But if we can get anything above £40 million, I'll be very, very happy indeed. Temi says, do you think Smith Rowe should go on loan? His chances of playing are limited. No, I think that he's needed in the squad. He adds good depth and versatility to certain positions, and we will need him this season. Ollie says, hey, Tom, Brighton and City missed key players and didn't miss a beat. Is that where Arteta needs to improve managing absences as well? What I would say is that obviously the missing of players has been replaced at Man City by very, very different figures. You think about who was missing for Man City. They lost De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. Phil Foden's coming into the group. It's not like Arsenal losing Saliba and Rob Holding coming in. It's a very, very different scenario, So Brighton have lost McAllister, but they've signed Mahmoud Dahoud, who looks really, really good. So James Milner, of course, has come in, who adds a certain level of quality also. So no, I don't think it's the same. I do still think that Arteta needs to improve managing absences somewhat and substitutions and rotation better, but I don't think that example of comparison necessarily fits in the same seamless way as maybe you might think it would. Jonas says, morning, Tom. We got the bronze medal. Let's hope Alessia and the Lionesses bring it home to you all today. Absolutely. Hopefully it is indeed coming home. I know that people outside England absolutely hate that saying, but as an Englishman, I embrace it. I embrace it proudly. So hopefully we see it taking place. Chris says, do you think that Man United and Liverpool are threats to us this season? I think it'd be naive at this point to rule either of them out, but they're doing a pretty darn good job of trying to undermine themselves right now as well. Magambo says, Liverpool are going through post-invincible era of Arsenal, trying to be frugal with good managers at the helm. I think, is that a suggestion that Klopp should be sacked and somebody else brought in? I think personally their recruitment has been ridiculously poor. The fact that they've not signed a midfielder of real top level quality is so bad. Like, it's such a bad piece of strategy from a recruitment standing. They should have done that ages ago, but they haven't. Mr. Bravo says, what's your prediction for Monday's game and who do you think will be leading the line? I think Nketiah will lead the line, but if you want to hear everything about my predictions, go and watch our preview show that we did the other day on Friday, I think it was, but it's one of the last live uploads on the channel. Peter says, with all that's happened so far this season, the injury, Timber, and the players we have signed and sold, If we don't sign any more players, where do you think the team is this season? Same or better? Of course, it's better than last season if we don't sign any more players. We signed Declan Rice. We've added Kai Havertz, the attacking options that we've got, and we haven't lost any attacking options from last season. We've added Declan Rice, who was an improvement on Granit Xhaka, and also we brought in David Raya, who adds great competition at goalkeeper. So of course the squad's in a better position it was last year, but we do need to bring in another defender and, in my opinion, another forward. The Onyx Lens says, how good is Ethan Nwaneri? He's a brilliant talent, scoring a hat-trick the other day at the under-21s against Leicester, I think it was. So there you go. Morgan says, Tom, on touting. Yesterday we got called the ticketing talk because we talked so much about tickets. So I'm not going to spend too much time on ticketing. But Morgan says, Tom, on touting, Arsenal have blocked 2,000 memberships for touting offences this season, and up to 500,000 IP addresses are being blocked due to bot action for silver members. It shows the level of the problem, absolutely, and it's well pointed out as well. Lynn says, when these mistakes are being made, my opinion, are being made. In my opinion, HW and his team should give these clubs the point, because saying sorry doesn't change anything for these clubs. However, I assume it is. It's difficult. You can't just give them the point, because if you'd have given the penalty in that moment, you don't know if Man United would have gone up the other end and scored again, or if even Wolves would have gone up the other end and scored again. So it's really difficult. You can't just start handing out points because mistakes are being made. What you can do is start holding referees and officials more accountable for their actions. I mean, relegating them, not just suspending them for a week of action. I mean, relegating them down the table to championship sides, and bringing in a greater diverse group of referees, bringing in referees from abroad as well. Why not invest in some of the best referees in the world? I think that should be something that we should try and strive to do as well. Christopher says, Tom, did you watch Back Home, the Wilshere videos on the Arsenal app? Worth checking out. I haven't yet. I haven't had time, but I will certainly be adding it to my to-do list. Thank you for pointing that one out. And William Salibat says, Xhaka looked good yesterday when Bayer Leverkusen beat Leipzig at home. Yes, and I still think it's a really, really good signing by Xabi Alonso for them. Progresses their midfield, improves their team, and although they won't be in the Champions League this season, at least I don't think they qualified. Let me just check the Bundesliga. I think they had a really difficult campaign last year. Table 22-23, sixth they finished, so they'll be in the Europa League, I think, unless of course they've not qualified. Europa League qualification. No, I think they're straight in. So yeah, they'll be in the Europa League this season, not in the Champions League. But I think that they should absolutely be trying to target a far better campaign. After one game, one win, happy days. Especially against Leipzig, a team that have already beaten Bayern Munich in the DFB Pokal, not in the DFB Pokal, the German Super Cup. Sorry. Yeah, they should be very, very happy with that indeed. So a very good start for Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso and Granit Xhaka, of course. Let's go to Martin says they did bring in Jared Gillett from Australia, and he's been awful. He's not been the best. He's made some mistakes, and again, maybe they didn't identify the best option. But I did hear from a lot of people in Australia that he was very good over there. So it's difficult. I just think a greater level of scrutiny needs to be given to officials. I think they should be mic'd up. I think they should have to do interviews after the game. I think those things may help with, accountability and things like that. So yeah, let's wait and see if things improve. I hope that they do. Right, we're going to end the show there. I know it's only been a shorter one, but as I said, a busy morning, and then it's the World Cup final. Please watch it. Please get involved with it. If you've never really touched or got involved with women's football before, make sure you do enjoy it. I think it's a best example of kind of the highest level of the women's game available to watch. And so if you can, chuck it on, support the girls, support Alessia, support our fellow Gunners, and let's hope that they can get a result because it's needed. Setting the example for the men's team. We could do it within an international final in the men's side. So let's do it, please, for England. Bring it home, girls, and fingers crossed. Keeping those fingers very much crossed indeed. Thank you for listening. drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. I'll be back tomorrow morning, and sadly, I should say, I'm sadly not going to be at the game on Monday night. The press box in the Palace End is so small that sadly they can't fit me in. I've been dieting and everything, and they still can't fit me in. But I guess what that does mean is that the record I have of every time I've been to Selhurst Park, I've never seen us win. I suppose that record is not on the line on Monday night, but I will still be doing the Football.London live blog from home, and you'll be able to, if you're not at the game or be able to watch the game, you'll be able to keep up with it over there. So lovely stuff. Right, have a fantastic day, guys. Stay safe, stay well, and as always, up the Arsenal.